The aviation industry has spent billions to make you believe one simple fact, that sitting at 30,000 feet is the safest place you can be. Statistically, they are absolutely right. Your chances of dying in a plane crash are roughly 1 in 11 million. You are supposed to be completely secure the moment you hand over your boarding pass. But behind the spotless safety records and high-budget commercials, a deeply unsettling reality is being quietly erased from your itinerary. Right now, major carriers are systematically concealing their most dangerous operations to protect their profit margins. We are talking about commercial flights routed through active conflict zones, aging aircraft kept in the sky by regulatory loopholes, and crews pushed to the absolute edge of legal rest and psychological collapse. The people boarding these flights have absolutely no idea what they are actually flying into. This is not isolated to a single budget airline or a specific developing nation. This is a systematic pattern happening across the global industry. Airlines conceal critical safety information from the public because true transparency costs money. And in an industry where every single penny, every drop of jet fuel, and every minute of turnaround time matters, passenger safety often comes a quiet second to profit margins. The Federal Aviation Administration and international regulatory bodies require airlines to disclose certain safety information, but there are massive, deliberate loopholes in these requirements. Airlines are not legally required to tell you when they are flying near active, unpredictable conflict zones. They do not have to disclose when their aircraft are operating with crews pushed to the absolute brink of exhaustion. They certainly do not have to tell you when they have chosen a specific flight path based on fuel costs rather than the safest possible routing. Consider the severe 2026 aviation crisis surrounding Dubai. Regional conflicts and geopolitical tensions severely impacted international arrivals, turning the surrounding airspace into a highly volatile environment overnight. Military exercises in the broader region happen without warning. Surface-to-air missile defense systems are active and on high alert. Yet commercial flights are routinely routed incredibly close to the edges of these volatile zones. Why? Because diverting safely around the entire theater of tension costs massive amounts of time and tens of thousands of dollars in jet fuel per flight.
Passengers boarding these flights recline in their seats and post travel photos using the in-flight Wi-Fi from 30,000 feet, completely unaware that their carrier has deliberately chosen a cheaper, significantly riskier path. The booking confirmation looks identical to any other international flight. There is a total lack of consumer transparency, and the airlines intend to keep it that way. Nepal's aviation industry provides a perfect, terrifying example of how the system legally obscures risk from the consumer. The country has some of the most challenging flying conditions on Earth. Pilots must navigate mountain airports tucked into deep valleys, incredibly short runways that end in sheer drops, and unpredictable weather patterns that change in a matter of minutes. Consequently, the region has one of the world's worst aviation safety records, highlighted by the tragic crash in January 2023 that killed 72 people. But here is the shocking part that the industry does not advertise. Major international airlines partner with these regional carriers through complex codeshare agreements. When you book a flight directly through the website of a highly reputable international airline, one with a perfect safety record, you might actually end up boarding a regional aircraft with a safety rating of 2 out of 7. The international airline gets to sell you a ticket and collect the revenue without operating the dangerous route themselves. You get the worst of both worlds: premium international ticket prices and terrifyingly low safety standards. Your boarding pass will not flash a warning. The pristine website will not alert you to the risk. You will only find out when you walk across a regional tarmac toward an aircraft that should have been retired 2 decades ago. The situation is replicated globally in regions like Afghanistan and parts of Africa. CAM Air operates flights through some of Afghanistan's most dangerous airspace, where air traffic control systems are fragmented, radar coverage is spotty, and viable emergency landing strips simply do not exist. Lion Air in Indonesia has a well-documented history of rapid expansion outpacing their maintenance capabilities. Yet, due to complex global booking systems, portions of your journey could easily be operated by airlines with significantly lower safety standards, buried deep in the fine print of a massive terms and conditions document that nobody reads. Air traffic control transcripts reveal another deeply disturbing pattern regarding how airlines gamble with the weather. Controllers routinely warn airline dispatchers and pilots about severe thunderstorms, massive wind shear, and unpredictable microbursts forming along their route. Standard logic dictates you ground the flight or fly hundreds of miles out of the way, but instead, airlines often quietly pressure crews to thread the needle. In documented cases across the globe, flights have proceeded directly through or dangerously close to severe weather simply because a wider, safer detour would burn thousands of dollars in extra fuel. Airport landing slots are fiercely competitive and incredibly valuable. Passenger compensation for significant delays adds up quickly and destroys quarterly earnings. The financial pressure exerted on operation centers to fly through marginal weather conditions is enormous.
Pilots report being indirectly pressured by dispatch to give it a try or take a look, even when weather conditions on the radar are clearly unsafe. Flight attendants describe being ordered to strap into their jump seats and prepare for takeoff while actively watching lightning strike the edge of the runway. The people sitting in the cabin assume the crew and the airline are prioritizing the safest possible route. Instead, they are unwitting participants in a massive, high-stakes, cost-cutting experiment. To understand why airlines take these risks, you have to look at the ruthless financial squeeze defining modern aviation. Look at the recent shifts in airline fee structures, like the aggressive restructuring of baggage fees across major carriers, including Delta Airlines. These changes are aggressively marketed to the public as providing passengers with more choices and unbundled value. But the reality is a ruthless, calculated optimization of weight and revenue. Every single pound on an aircraft burns fuel. If an airline is willing to alienate its customer base by heavily penalizing a suitcase that is 2 pounds overweight just to optimize fuel efficiency, imagine the internal calculations happening when a storm system requires a 2-hour detour. The margins are razor thin, and safety buffers are incredibly expensive to maintain. Pilot fatigue represents another invisible threat operating entirely behind closed doors. International aviation regulations allow pilots to fly up to 14 hours in a single duty period. But these broad regulations do not account for the exhausting reality of modern airline operations. Pilots are not just sitting in a chair for 14 hours. They are flying multiple short legs with minimal rest, dealing with constant altitude changes, navigating complex airspace, crossing multiple time zones, and managing the constant stress of operating a multi-million-dollar machine. They are fighting through back-to-back red-eye flights, sleeping in noisy airport hotels for barely 6 hours, and then being expected to perform flawlessly during a low-visibility instrument approach. The system is legal, but it pushes human physiology to its breaking point, and the passengers in row 12 have no idea the person landing their plane has been awake for 20 hours. Airlines and manufacturers loudly broadcast their modernization efforts to distract from these realities. Take Boeing's highly publicized 2026 technological investments and fleet upgrades. The Boeing 737 MAX crisis proved exactly how catastrophic this illusion of modernization can be. Manufacturers and airlines hid critical safety information from the very people flying the planes. Lion Air Flight 610 crashed in October 2018, killing 189 people. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed exactly 5 months later, killing 157 people. Both crashes were directly caused by an automated system that the pilots literally did not know existed. The aircraft had been fully certified by global regulators. Airlines were operating them on hundreds of routes. But the fatal design flaw had been hidden from everyone except a small group of engineers and corporate executives focused on competing with Airbus.
The solution is not to stop flying. Commercial aviation remains statistically safe, but consumers deserve to make informed decisions. Passengers should know about restricted airspace, deferred maintenance, and marginal weather conditions. Airlines argue transparency causes panic, but the flying public is already assuming these massive risks blindly. Every pilot, mechanic, and air traffic controller knows this critical information. The only people left completely in the dark are the passengers. Your airline knows things you will never be allowed to learn. The biggest safety risk in modern aviation might just be the information you do not know you are missing.